back here at Okemo Valley TV in Ludlow, Vermont. This is episode number 8 of The Tasty Twist with Sammy B. I am your host, Sammy Blanchett, Ludlow, Vermont resident, multi-job entrepreneur, whatever anybody wants to label me as nowadays. And shout out to Peter, Patrick, and Rebecca, our producers here at Okemo Valley TV, for all their efforts so far. 4 episodes so far have been released of the Tasty Twist podcast. Shout out to Allie T, Zach Yakitis, Jim Yeager, Max Casano for their efforts so far. Later on this week, we'll be featuring the episode with Peyton Callanan, episode number 5. And for anybody that has not subscribed or downloaded the Okemo Valley TV mobile app on their smartphones or smart TVs, or subscribe to their YouTube channel, please feel free to do so. You can also visit my website, sammybmusic.com, which is your one-stop shop for my online merch store, streaming platforms for all of my music, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, just to name a few. Facebook and Instagram links, and full list of shows in Vermont, New Hampshire, etc., etc. Before we get started, I want to dedicate this episode, being a former Southwest Connecticut resident for 29 years and have been a weekend warrior before becoming a full-time resident up here in the Okemo Valley just about 6 years ago. I want to dedicate this entire episode to my friends, my family members, and to all of our property residents that support the Okemo Valley in Southwest Connecticut that got hit really hard yesterday with the microburst rain. It's kind of becoming a broken record now. The severe weather has definitely just been awful the last couple of years, especially dating back to July 10th, 2023 up here in the Okemo Valley. But I wanted to throw that special shout out there to my former home state in Connecticut and to all of our Connecticut residents that have properties up here that helped us out July 10th last year. We'll help you out the best that we can also as well too with our efforts, and our thoughts and prayers are with family and people that have been affected business, home, lifestyle wise. So shout out to Southern Connecticut. Now, speaking of Southern Connecticut and the Rhode Island-ish area, our guest here is a young gentleman that I've gotten to know very well the last couple of years, but he's more than just a singer-songwriter. He's now full-time. He's made the transition. But he spent many years also, too, as a chef and man in the kitchen. He was born in Rhode Island, lived in Connecticut for many years, moved to Vermont X number of years ago, open mic legend, and now 2-3 hour extraordinaire, Mr. Rhys Chalmers. He's got a voice of a god. I'm looking forward to you guys hearing this.
What an intro.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, man.
We already had, I feel like most of my guests, like a full podcast episode beforehand. But the usual question for everybody, getting things rolling. How did it all begin? Life down south before moving up here? You know, how did it all start for you?
Sure. So I grew up in a town called Colchester, Connecticut. And as far as my musical background, I'll keep it brief. But I grew up Catholic, so it really started with like choir and singing and that kind of stuff, you know. So it started young, you know.
Did you ever do like music and ministry classes? Because I actually have a Catholic background as well, too, where I joined.
Not that I recall. Yeah. No, I just remember not like caring for it and being like kind of scared to sing in front of people.
You didn't like getting up on Sundays either, too. I mean, we could be honest with that. Yeah.
What is it? CCV class?
CCE, I think it was called, or
whatever
CCC.
It was. Never enjoyed that.
Wait, so Connecticut reference. Yeah. What was the old radio station? Darn it.
Oh,
was it 106.9 or CCC? There was the guy yelling in the in the commercial, was 104.1 CCC, like really yelling it in your face.
I can't say I recall that.
Oh, but dude, it was a radio station. I'm sure it's changed. But one staple after all these years, 99.1 PLR, 50 minutes of rock every hour. I believe our good friend Mike Lapatino is still there, I think. Lappy.
It's been so, I mean, like my whole adult life has now been in Vermont.
Yeah.
So it's hard to look back.
When did you move up here?
I want to say like 2015, 2016, somewhere around there.
Very nice.
Basically, I did a year of college and
engineering, right?
Engineering.
You did it. Yeah.
Discovered pretty quickly that it wasn't what I really wanted to do. You know, everybody thinks like, oh, I'm going to grow up to be yada yada. and you follow that path, and then when you actually get there, you're kind of like, oh, okay. Then first of all, the world is full of options.
Oh yeah,
and
especially now with technology.
Yeah,
obviously.
And second of all, it's like you don't have to pigeonhole yourself into one thing. So I just I just didn't enjoy the work. I was fine. I was a half decent student, but still, it was just like, man, I'm far more interested in art and stuff. So
absolutely. When you had your experience in choir and stuff, was it singing and guitar, or just kind of one or the other?
No, so I mean, I wasn't huge. I was in choir and I did sing, but that was just like the very beginnings of it. But then, fourth grade band rolls around and then they're like, pick up something, Was
guitar the instrument, or?
No, it was trombone actually.
Whoa.
So here's the story of my instruments. Ready? So
yeah,
4th and 5th grade, when band starts, I can't even think of like what the band leader orchestra.
The orchestra. I think
whatever you would call
we could say band leader, orchestrator, one of the others.
The band teacher. Was like, we have,
just like on our table here, our Buddha, Jason Veritek, and the Banana Dog are our representatives. Like I mentioned, this table continues to grow. By the way, before we get back to that, shout out to New England Cider Donuts right next door to Okemo Valley TV. Dave, these are awesome donuts, and croissant too. I love the croissant.
Croissants are good. I like the texture. There's like a crunch to the donut. That's really good.
So, but solid new business, open Thursdays through Mondays. Check them out. So back to
all right. So
trombone, band leader, orchestrator.
The band teacher's like, we have like 14 guys playing trumpet. We have like 16
we
guys
need you to be the one guy. We need you to
somebody play trombone, and I was too passive to be like, no. I'd be like, okay. So after
but that's like the CEO. But so in this case, the band leader, that's like a CEO of like any company coming up to you, do like, got a 50-page file that's going to make us millions of dollars. Can you do it? That means you're doing it. Yeah. It's so was that a case where like, hey, someone's got to do trombone?
Yeah. We have like 2 players. Could you please add to this? So 4th and 5th grade, I played trombone, and then I was like, trombone's not really getting me anywhere with girls. I'm gonna switch to a more interesting instrument, and so I switched to tenor saxophone in 6th grade. So, and then I played sax all through middle school and high school.
That's working better up the rankings.
Yes, but by the way, it didn't make a difference in terms of getting girls. If you're just a loser with a saxophone, it doesn't matter.
Did you have to?
Out of that.
Did you have to sight read obviously right away, or?
No. I mean, I was in like jazz band and stuff where that was like more improv and sight reading.
Yeah.
Mostly it was just bands kind of stuff.
Did you always find it hard? I always found sight reading hard, and I have
reading music is hard. Period.
I have a music performance degree.
Yeah,
and I still always found sight reading just so hard.
And nowadays, doing it as a professional, I read no music.
Yeah. That's a good segue because you've probably learned. Did you take lessons?
I took some saxophone lessons, and I took like one singing lesson at like senior year of high school. It was when I switched to guitar. It was senior years of high school. Or picked it up anyway.
But for like acoustic guitar, did you ever take lessons or kind of figure it out? Yeah.
Well, I think I did.
Now you can figure out everything on YouTube.
It's all there.
Yeah.
And if you have the ear for it, you can figure out anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I think I took like one lesson where, and again, very regimented, learn how to read music before you even learn any chords. It was not the greatest intro to learning guitar, I would say.
Yeah. When you moved up to Vermont, what was your first experience with playing guitar and singing out in front of people?
That's a good question. So I was not old enough to drink yet, but I wanted to like go out and do this thing.
Your parents just take you out.
It started with Killarney's.
Yep.
Monday night open mic.
Monday nights still back going strong.
Steve Osley was still alive back then. And
now it's every other week. It's Silas McPrior and King Arthur Jr. Yep. So shout out to those guys and shout out to Killarney. By the way, also another shout out. Happy 30th wedding anniversary to Mark and Judy Verespi.
Oh,
saw that on Facebook over the weekend. Shout out to them.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Good for them.
Big supporters of live music, and almost the 20th anniversary of Killarney's itself coming up in another year.
Of the open mic?
In general. Killarney in general.
Okay.
Yeah, since it was an old restaurant called Nicky's. Way back in the day. Yeah. Before our drinking days, definitely, for sure. Yeah.
You would hope so.
So continue. Mom and Dad help you out. And
so it was Killarney's and Clear River Tavern that like my parents would like bring me out, and they were like, we're here chaperoning this kid, basically.
You're in the clear when you're here. I think that's their old, when
you're here, you're in the clear.
Yeah,
I think
drinking reference right there, obviously. For sure.
So, kind of shook off the dust in terms of playing and singing out in front of anybody. That was my introduction to it. It was a good.
What was your first song / artist that you covered?
Oh man, I don't know if I remember, but there was always a Dave Matthews cover. That was definitely, he was like my hero.
What was the first Dave song to your recollection that you learned? Yeah.
I think So Much to Say.
That's a good
was
one.
the first one. And then I learned.
Now that's the first song
like
off of his first album, right? Crush, right? Or
it might be.
So Much to Say, I think, is song number 1. Because then after that came Two Step, which I know that you cover.
I do that.
That's track number 2. Like I always know that that's track number 2 on the first album.
I'm more familiar with a lot of like the live concert series than the studio albums.
Yeah.
So
how many times have you seen Dave?
Like 4, 5, or 6. Not an insane amount, but my brother's like, I've seen like 20 shows. I've been to so many.
He puts on a heck of a show, man.
Oh my God, every time.
It's such a great time.
We saw him a month ago in Guilford, New Hampshire.
Oh, nice. At the Live Nation Bank Pavilion.
Yeah, it's a great venue. But we went to both nights, and man, it's just the musicianship. And
did you have actual seats, or were you on the lawn?
We were on the lawn both nights, but it poured the first night, like severe weather storms. They told everybody on the lawn to go back to their cars, and we were like, no,
it's kind of a bit of a long. It's kind of a bit of a long walk, also too.
Camping, we were camping at the venue, so.
Yeah.
We eventually ended up underneath the pavilion. They delayed the show for like an hour and a half. And at that point, a lot of people just went home because it was so extreme.
Right.
So we had seats.
Right.
They were just like, well, no one's sitting here. So
yeah. I saw
great show.
I saw here's a flashback band right here from the 90s. Garbage. You ever remember them? Yeah, they were like
I do.
They're still around, but they speaking of rains, they have that one song, I think it's one of their number 1 hits. I'm only happy when it rains. Anyways, they opened up for Alanis Morissette, which was really cool. So
cool.
But I missed out on Tedeschi Trucks Band, and I missed out on Chris Stapleton over the years to see them out there, which is actually cool. Chris Stapleton's been letting Derek Trucks and Susan Tedeschi sit in with them at shows quite a bit now.
That's cool.
Which is awesome. Yeah. But anyways, so open mics, Killarney, Clear River. Did you ever jam out at the Skunk Hollow that Jim Yeager used to host?
Oh yeah.
Skunk's a good time.
Skunk's a good time. Very unique place. We went there last Wednesday.
Tight space, but a great community setting.
Yeah,
it's
changed. It's changed quite a bit. Now they have the outdoor thing, but I
haven't been there
since the winter.
I haven't been there since the outdoor.
Since like COVID, thing. Basically.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
So I don't know if you're familiar with like the backside of it. But they've turned all that open space into it's like a semi lawn. They got a nice stage and a bunch of outdoor seating.
That's awesome.
And so for the summer, and then like weather depending, they'll just go inside and do it like they had.
Absolutely,
like they always have been. But that was one when it's
a very supportive venue to the arts.
Oh my God.
Man.
And just like so many wonderful, talented people.
Yeah.
You get 3 songs and they bring it for those 3 songs, So
for sure.
Yes, love that open mic. It's really
that's actually where I really got to know Jim Yeager, because I think I had met him once before. I talked to him about this on his podcast episode, but I think I met him at the old Bentley's in Woodstock, which is now Colburn Tonic.
Yeah,
and he used to jam there on Mondays or Tuesdays.
There's a Monday open mic there too.
Right. So another gentleman, Arthur James, I think that plays there or did play there.
I can't say it.
But anyways, I think that's where I first met Jim.
Yeah.
Back when I was working at Vermont Flannel Company, which is what you're wearing right now. Shout out to Vermont Flannel Company. They have 6 or 7 locations now, I think. But the main one,
Sammy, you don't work for them anymore. You don't have to.
That's all right. It's a plug. I also don't work for New England Cider Donuts.
I'm kidding.
But yeah.
Obviously, we support anything Vermont makes.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to my dad, Steve Blanchett, a.k.a. Stu Blatt on Facebook, for hooking us up with Tasty Twist merch.
Shout out, Dad.
Your coaster is somewhere. That
I put it in the
audience
car.
Can see
I was making sure that comes home with me.
Yes, absolutely. Both items. Yes. Yeah. Maybe there'll be an online merch store one of these days. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, so God, squirrel brain. Okay, so
It's
Woodstock, right? Where are we? Woodstock, Bentley's.
All right, just I started doing open mics before, around drinking age, and then once I could start to drink, I worked at Worthy Kitchen in Woodstock for like my early 20s.
Yeah. How old are you now, if you don't mind?
I'm
me
28.
asking? 28. Okay. Yeah.
How about you?
I
old-timer?
turned 35.
Mr. Gray hair over there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. A little primer.
At
Yeah.
least you're embracing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No. Well, I still have a full head of hair, and I don't know.
I'm grateful for that. You know?
Yeah. I'm enjoying getting older. I'm not gonna lie.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go.
Yep.
Just be your age and enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep smiling, right? Keep smiling and being one with the people. But anyway, yes, back to around the early 20s. Yeah.
So working at Worley, it wasn't really a venue, but I knew I still wanted to do music. So I kind of asked, I had the in. I knew the managers and the owners. I'm like, could I do a show here? Like do
didn't
a couple hours?
Didn't they do music there?
They really weren't willing to give up the table, because it was a place that really churned out a lot of business.
Makes sense.
They kind of made an exception for me. They had someone else there too. I can't remember his name, but it was very, very rare. Like they never really did music.
Yeah.
During COVID times, they let us do a little outdoor kind of thing.
Nice.
Like on their little outdoor
Did
lawn.
you experiment with Facebook Live out there, or
no? I didn't do a whole lot of Facebook Live stuff.
Yeah.
I only did that like once at home.
Yeah.
Weirdly. But
pretty unique to learn about it though, right? I mean, it's been around for a long time, but
yet now streaming is like
everything.
Being live on camera.
Yeah. But it was definitely, I know, like you mentioned you didn't do much of it during COVID. But it was really amazing. Obviously, we were all stuck at home. The amount of people that checked in and supported those that did it a lot, it was really insane. And of course, now we mentioned in the pregame, so many different social media apps, Instagram, TikTok, they all have the live option now. So everybody's going live on those apps now too.
Obviously there's Twitch is like the biggest streaming platform, but everybody's kind of playing catch up a little bit with that because that's the way things are going anyways.
Same with YouTube, like with shorts, like we were mentioning.
YouTube Live, and the short form content. We can get into
Reels,
that, whatever.
Snippets,
We're all a slave to it somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
You might not have TikTok, but I bet you
you
watch something on Facebook or YouTube.
Absolutely, so. Yeah. By the way, congratulations on the switch to being a full-time artist.
Thank you.
How does it truly feel so far? Like how much work is really involved?
Well, it was certainly overwhelming at first, and the way I approached it, I had a full-time job. I worked at Killington Mountain School as a cook as well.
Oh, cool.
And was able to like get my foot in the door in the Killington music scene. I had a wonderful schedule there where I worked like Sunday through Thursday, had Friday, Saturdays off.
So you could do that for gigs.
Shout out to Patrick Bondell. Yeah. Thank you for giving me that schedule.
Yeah. And so you could plug and place gigs
on my weekends.
Around there. Right, yeah.
And then eventually it was like I was just tired of working there. I was a little burnt out, and I was like enjoying this music thing way too much to not try, at least give it a shot. I have the opportunity to. So it was kind of the first quarter of this year. I was like, if I could just book enough work to justify like I'm bringing in enough money, then I'm going to go for it. So that's exactly what I did. I went to, Matt Bigelow. I'm like, dude, fill my schedule up. I'll fill up my schedule outside of that. But
absolutely. Yeah.
That's when it started. The beginning of this year is when I made the jump.
Yeah. Outside of Killington, where else do you consider sort of full-time venues for you as far as dedicating a couple shows a month to a place?
Well, there's definitely
besides Killington.
Yeah, Ludlow is the other one. I mean, Outer Limits was always a great spot. I don't, are they closing?
They're currently closed at the moment. They're working on getting back in the fall and winter. That's the latest.
That was a great venue.
Yeah.
Killarney's was always fun.
Yeah. You do stuff at Calcutta's and Off the Rails from time to time, right?
I do. Yeah. I play wherever, man. It's just play as many different places. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was just like just play anywhere new all the time. Don't get sucked into like playing the same thing, same places all the time. Get as many new experiences as possible. And
that's got to be a fine balance. Every artist has a different approach on this, or every contractor must have a different approach of this, great to get in the new communities. Like we talked about, our good friend, shout out to him, Alex DeLuca, who's out in Laconia, New Hampshire. He's a very hard, passionate worker for Gunstock Mountain Resort out in the Guilford area and a great ambassador for them. there's got to be a reason, right? Because now that we're full-time musicians, I mean, I have other jobs still that I do, but this is your primary source of income now. Yeah. So between write-offs on your car, equipment, time management, there must be like that hard balance of let's get to as many new places as possible, but
also figure out the flow of what this is supposed to be.
But also, if we're not paying for Airbnbs or staying at a place that's 3 hours away each way, there's got to be kind of like that give or take, like, you know, how do we balance this out financially? You know, because
I will say, so, I mean, if it's anything further than an hour, I'll charge the extra like $50 for a tank of gas, you know, just to make
which is fair.
Which is fair. Cause it's like, if I'm going to travel that far, then it's like, I need to justify it somehow.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of the new venues, because I have a lot of similar experience with you with the Killington venues. We pretty much know what the ski resort lifestyle is like, but what's the general crowd for most of the venues that you have played? Classic rock, blues, country, mixed bag?
Like what genre do they
like? Like what, like the general crowds like that are there. What are they primarily into? I mean, and how does that blend in with your set of covers and originals that you do as well too?
Yeah, like the bar scene is very they like all sorts of stuff, but most girls like some country. I've been getting a lot of Noah Khan requests for Stick Season.
How about the old goat Chicken Fried Zach Brown band? You get that one all the time.
Wagon Wheel, good God.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then there is.
How much do you charge for Wagon Wheel? Remember that meme I shared last week? Yeah.
Just like
Freebird, just stop.
Freebird. I do play Freebird though.
Yeah.
Nothing. There was one moment I had at Killarney's one time where I was just about to start the show, and then somebody yelled Freebird, and then I hit that song, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't expect that." Whoa! So it's like, yeah, take that. Yeah.
Were they coming from were they coming from the golf course after drinking all day?
I'm sure. Yeah. So the bar scene, you know,
or skiing. Yeah.
There's a lot of alcohol involved.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure. No, that's cool. So tell the audience a little bit about what's your favorite type of artist to cover.
You know, that's kind of a tough question because the comment I get the most is like, you play so much different stuff. You know, he's like, you have so much versatility. You're not in one genre necessarily. So when this question comes up, I don't really know how to answer it outside of just like. Depends on the audience and the moment. Right. Like if it's slow, I'm not going to play rock and I'm not going to give all my energy to two people who aren't really paying attention right now. But then the crowd comes in. It's like, okay, time to pick it up. More lively stuff. Right. Something people will know. Some people don't necessarily know it, but they still enjoy it just because sometimes it's not what you're playing, but how you're playing it. If you're putting a lot of energy and passion into it, people reciprocate that. In your experience, what has generally worked the best? Like Bob Marley? Reggae is definitely... Yeah. People, I mean, mentioned Dave Matthews, Sublime, obviously. Sublime songs. Everyone likes Sublime and Slightly Stupid when I do those covers. Yeah. But I do like Chris Stapleton. But then one that's really been hitting lately is Post Malone's Circles. Oh, yeah. So, I really like pop tunes, you know, but they're fun. He just released a new album, and I didn't realize how well his voice actually fits for country songs. Because he's been a better singer than he is a rapper, in my opinion. He's been collaborating a lot with country artists now also, too. Who isn't a country artist these days? Yeah, right? I mean, Beyonce came out with a country album. I'm like, is this is just everybody's doing this now? Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah, speaking of Noah Khan, I think he's been collaborating with Post Malone also, too. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. Billy Strings knows Post Malone. I mean, it's great, like, all these great players. We live in a time where you can connect with anybody at any time. So, and I credit social media a lot of that. Yeah, I credit social media a lot. It's a double-edged sword. It'll suck you in and consume your life. Yeah. Also, you can connect with other humans in real life. Do you try to develop a work-use balance with social media for gigging and for your brand? For sure. Like, yeah, I don't even go on Facebook unless it's Marketplace because I also wrench on cars and I like finding the deals. Yeah. Hey, is this still available? Yes. Yeah. I don't send that though, because everybody, I know what it's like to sell something on Facebook. Nobody responds to, is this still available? Or right. Yes. Good God. Yeah.
Honestly,
but-
I have with generally good feedback sometimes, but 3 years ago when I was helping Erica, my girlfriend, with house movement into a new place and everything, there was a lot of stuff that I helped her sell on Facebook Marketplace. And we live in Southern Vermont, obviously. So many people came from New Hampshire. They responded right away on the Facebook Marketplace, regardless of the price. Some would be like, when you're buying for a house, what's eyes? Furniture,
Right,
like
just like,
some antique stuff, like old antique stuff.
To lighten the move, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Lighten the U-Haul, you know? Yeah. But yeah, I found decent luck with Facebook Marketplace.
So if I'm not on Marketplace, I'm there to post where I'm at for
Schedule,
the weekend,
right?
And I'm off of it. I can't stand it, honestly, just
Right.
to be on it. But
No, I
so
hear ya.
I use it as a tool more than a leisure item. Let's say.
Speaking of tool, do you have a fully loaded website that includes links to your Facebook or Instagram and music?
So I'm still working on the website, but that is kind of my goal for at least the next month, to have a website to, like, I'll just post here's the blog of what this upcoming weekend's looking like. But if you want to see where I'm playing, go to the website, and I'll just link it to whatever, Facebook, YouTube, and Insta, and all that good stuff.
There's also the certain times a year or weeks, months, days, where the pop-up gigs come up out of nowhere and you put as a status update. I actually have a double
Last
header
minute.
now today. Yeah, last minute. Or time change. I mean, because that happens quite frequently. You have any original music in the works or already professionally recorded online streaming platforms?
Nothing recorded and out there. I know it's like I came here kind of underprepared of like, what do I have to promote?
I can't wait to jam your song at the end of the episode. I can't. That's going to be a lot of fun. They're going to enjoy it. Yeah,
I
too.
hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm working on more originals because I play with the band now. So outside of
what's the name of the band?
We're called the Loons. It's Loonz.
Oh.
So the Loonsband.com.
Not a spin-off to the ski resort out in Lincoln, New Hampshire. Loon. Yeah. Not a spin-off.
That wasn't
to that.
No, it was kind of more of a play on the bird, the loons. You know, I mean, we have this very much Vermont, and then get another bird band versus like goose or pigeons playing ping pong or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just surprised, like, no one's picked loons yet. Okay, yeah, that's not bad.
Have you ever seen? But before we get back to the loons thing, have you ever seen goose or pigeons? Live?
I know of their music. I've always wanted to see Goose, and I haven't seen either band, but I do enjoy their music.
Former Connecticut band, by the way, South Norwalk. Yeah. Did I ever tell you the story? I ended up jamming with them on Sunday nights at a place called The Spread in South Norwalk before COVID and before I moved up here and before they blew up. And what great players, man.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable. Yeah. Rick's a great guitar player. I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast episodes. I love their style. They're really
you
good.
said they're a Connecticut band. Did they meet like this like college band kind of thing?
I think so. Yeah, I would imagine so.
That's
kind of like how Fish.
Very different around here. Because there's not a lot of colleges, and like to get a band around here. Is really difficult.
I was about to say getting back to your band right now. So, how challenging is that? Like, play on that with rehearsal time, getting together, everybody on the same page. That's a full-time job in and of itself.
Same, your typical college band setup is like, all right, we have to go to class. Great. Outside
do your homework.
Take care of.
See, that's what they prepare you in school.
Make sure I don't get kicked out. Cool.
Yeah. Right.
Outside of that,
how can you kick out a bandmate? Oh, actually, it's very easy to kick out a bandmate. But
I meant get kicked out of college.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Make sure you don't get kicked out of college.
Stay in school,
Stay in
kids.
school.
Yeah.
At least long enough so you can become really practiced. I mean, when you can spend day in and day out playing, you get really tight, and that's where those bands come from. Around here,
feels like a family also too after a while, right? It feels like a family
for
approach.
Sure. I didn't. We just don't have that opportunity. There's just not a lot of people around here. It's not a college area. It's a ski resort kind of area. So I met Rob, the drummer, and Kent, the bass player, through Silas.
Nice.
And then we played with Bob Kennedy on mandolin for a little while.
Mando Bob.
Yes, Mando Bob.
Mando Bob.
And then he had some troubles in his life. He kind of went a different direction.
Are you guys still playing together duo? Or
not really. I wouldn't say no. I mean, I would be happy to play with him again. It was always fun.
Yeah.
But we don't have any gigs scheduled. And then we got this a keyboard player called Tony Bartold.
Nice.
And then that's when we got the name, the Loons, and that's when it's all really like, oh, we're booking shows now, we're getting it together. By the way, just here's a subtle plug.
Oh, here you go.
This Friday, the 23rd, the Loons will be at the Champlain Valley Fair.
Oh, very
in
nice.
Essex. So
very nice.
We're playing a couple
Is that in the big
there.
giant field where they have big artists?
I've
there?
never been there, but it is a pretty large event and a legit stage, you know?
Yeah.
It's the best kind of band event. Let's just show up, plug in, and go, and not have to carry all the heavy
That's
gear.
awesome. What kind of covers do you cover? And you're writing original music, I would imagine, with them?
Yeah, so for our sets for this Friday, it's we have like 2 covers and then mostly original stuff. So that feels really good.
Kind of music, like genre-wise?
We got asked to describe this, and again, I'm not really sure, but maybe like acoustic rock, some funkiness.
Yeah.
And we had a joke that we kind of threw in there, like with sax appeal, because I play the saxophone now. It was something that
or Trombone Shorty approach. Shout out Trombone Shorty. Yeah.
He's a great show.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like funky. I wouldn't call it folk, or it's not very slow. So acoustic rock, maybe.
Yeah.
You
Are you the lead guy, or are you?
I'm the front man.
Front man, yeah. And you're doing acoustic and electric, or primarily acoustic?
Primarily acoustic.
Nice.
What I'll do is, I'll hit a delay pedal and do a solo with the acoustic guitar.
Gotta have the delay, man.
Yeah. But mostly the solos, we've actually just recently figured out the dynamic where, like, okay, and end of this verse, Tony does his lead thing on keys while I'm switching guitar to saxophone, and then I do a sax solo, and then it goes back to him on keys, and then I'll do guitar after that. And
this is all in your head, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
We talked about it once, and then we're like, yeah, that's the way to go. We don't have to ever talk about this ever again.
It's like, what did Bill Burr say one time about getting older? This was like in one of his early specials before he like started growing out the beard and everything, and he goes, man, I'm just getting older, man, and I think I just realized, like, I think I just stayed like single too long. You reach this point in your head where your brain just all of a sudden starts having conversations with yourself, and you want to like say something, and your brain just goes, don't say that. F it, say it, see what happens. Yeah. But to have to segue back into the band stuff, to have all that memorized in your head, and I'm assuming, because this is what bands do, when you're going from segue to segue, it's more the IQs, like looking at like, okay, so now this is where you're going.
That's something
over here.
Like I played solo for forever. I mean, it was just hard to get the opportunity to play with the band. But
where
now
the only
eye
connection is with the audience, is not nobody else.
So much about how to communicate silently with the people that are just surrounding you. And literally just like queuing up, and here's when it ends. Without actually saying it. So
I look at one of my
learned a lot about that.
I look at one of my all-time guitar heroes, Derek Trucks. Again, he was with the Allman Brothers, Tedeschi Trucks band now with his wife, Susan Tedeschi. Whenever he's in the middle of a guitar solo and he's nearing the end, it's so monstrous, obviously, the build up, the dynamics on his guitar solo. And then when he's like nearing the end, he just gives to the band. and then all 12 members are on the same page. They know instantly. Yeah, exactly. So that's so
it's a
cool.
Really cool. It's a cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The silent camaraderie, communication between musicians is. I'm really grateful for these guys that I've been playing with, because they kind of the whole college band thing is so easy because you live together. These guys kind of just fell into my lap. It was like magical, and I'm like, man, how lucky am I? Whereas like I have this little local Vermont band, and people to play with, when it's kind of hard to get some people together,
Absolutely.
People got lives and jobs and wives and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot to coordinate.
Personalities, man. Yeah, absolutely.
There's that too.
Great segue, because I think this is a very important topic to hit on in the podcast episodes with primarily singer-songwriter guitar players who have all the market in the world around here, especially in tourist state Vermont, for solo shows, for many, many different reasons other than financially. Pros and cons of being your own one-man band for a show or with a band. What do you like more from the heart speaking, and where do you see the next couple of years as far as what you want to be devoting as much time to?
Good question. I would say pros is relying on yourself. If you know that you're a good employee, you're going to show up every time on time and do the job and
Absolutely.
not, you know, if you're pretty self-reliant, it's a good thing to have. Cons is, you know, if you're not into the whole looping thing, that can make it a little easier. So it's kind of come full circle. I used to not loop at all and just like sing and play, just guitar and vocals.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, boy, a lot of endurance for 3 hours without, you know, letting a loop pedal kind of do some work
And
for
interest level also too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And
Was
then-
there an aha moment from seeing either one of us or a famous artist that you admire where they do the looping where you're like, you know, I will give this a try. Let me or is it the nature of the market in Vermont as far as the shows?
Who got me into looping initially was actually Reggie Watts. I don't know if you know who Reggie Watts is, but he's kind of like an improv.
Wicked cool name though. I like the name.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Very, very funky character. But he just loops his voice, does like beatboxing stuff, but all of it's like made up. I don't know if you've heard of like I can't pronounce his name, Mark Ribolates or something like that.
That
But
name sounds a little more
100%
familiar.
like made up on the spot, but then loops and you build this whole song. So I was like, that is just so cool. That's so awesome. Not even just the improv stuff, but having a lot of sound out of one person.
Yeah.
And then seeing how like everybody around here uses a loop pedal in some form or fashion. Not everybody, but most artists who do it full time will use it as a tool to make it a little easier and get more sound out of one person. So that's what's funny now is that I have the saxophone now, and that takes a lot of breath. It used to be, man, 3 hours is kind of a lot. And now 3 hours, it's not so bad. I got the loop pedal to kind of alleviate. And now I'm like back to
You throw
3
in like a
hours with the
25-minute break. You throw like a 25-minute break in just to kind of mix up the action a little bit.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
give
you
people a
take
little
step
time to
breaks and
breathe.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. But solo,
Although shout out to Dwayne Carlton who does 5 hours in a row sometimes
That's a lot.
nonstop. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's crazy.
Shout out to Dwayne.
So when he
Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. I may not be a smart man, but I know what marketing is. So good for you.
Did he say that? Are you sure about that?
No, it's love because we had about follow Jenny's. Jenny would always write to me. But kudos to you for knowing to put the saxophone in the mix with the shows as well too. It kind of adds to that. Like, have you ever played yet at New American Grill in Londonderry?
No, I'm in touch with the guy. We couldn't figure it out for this summer. But we're in talks for
We'll get you in the loops. It's a solid place.
Yeah, I mean, they got a cute little stage, and I've heard nothing but good things from all the wonderful people that play there.
I bring them up because they host open mic every Thursday down there also too.
Okay.
And excuse me. The having the other instrument part along with the looping, at their open mic there, they've got percussion pieces, they've got cowbell, shakers. So I'll throw a loop on every once in a while, and if the vibe of the audience is good in the music room, I just go hands free and pick up another one of the instruments and just shake it around. And it's so funny. Like I wanted to bring this up also too, where if you stop and like take a sip of your water or something or the beer or whatever, and you're adjusting something on your mic and there's still sound, people are like, "Whoa. How is he doing that?" And they don't remember it's the looping pedal sometimes. It's cool seeing the reaction.
I'm a little proud of this, so I'm going to bring it up. I broke a string midway, and then I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to change it while the loop does its thing. Music doesn't even stop. I switch the string out. Show doesn't stop. That was just like, yes.
So what string was it, though?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, usually it's the G string.
So it's not like one of those. I can still fudge my way through a couple of songs and not worry about that. Because if it's the high E string, you
get away with it.
This is just me. I've gotten away with like playing the rest of an entire set without without the high E string. It's a mind tease, obviously.
Yeah.
And you know it certainly doesn't sound the same. but it can be done. Like,
Yeah.
I did that.
Most people in the audience don't notice. They're like, well, his guitar looks a little different, but it still sounds good to them. So,
yeah. Hey, I tell you, that was a wicked fun super jam that we did at the Umbrella Bar in May.
Oh my God.
How cool was that?
That was sick, dude. I was just like, there's 5 guitars up here.
Yeah.
And
You, me, Dan Brown, Nick, Chris Paluto,
and then the guy on percussion,
Dan's buddy Jay or John, I think was his name, or Ray. I'm sorry, Ray. There we go. Forgot his last name, obviously.
Only met him
and then Liz Reedy for a couple of songs. That was great.
Yeah. And I was very privileged to be able to. I ran the sound that day. I was like, cool. This is all my stuff. Yeah. Feeling like a professional.
I think we're pretty blessed, don't you think? I bring this up in the episodes a lot. Being the new young generation here in Vermont, and with how much talent there is around here in Vermont and how much support the state gives arts and entertainment, I think it's great seeing so many of us thriving in a lot of areas. Wouldn't you agree? It's pretty cool to see.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's very cool that there's a scene here kind of in the middle of nowhere. Even though it's nowhere to us, it's our home. Yeah. But it's just kind of crazy that, even with Noah Khan is selling out arenas and he's from
Fenway Park also too. Yeah.
You don't have to like be a hardworking Nashville competing all the time kind of thing. I mean, it's cool to see that there's not a lot of competition. It's more like mutual success. We're all doing well. So it's just awesome that we're all booking work and justifying being able to do it.
To kind of segue back to your old line of work, working at Worthy Kitchen and just working in the restaurant industry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you make a lot of connections with people for shows and building your music career from simply knowing people when you were an employee in a restaurant? Did you make connections that way with folks?
Not really. Sometimes, but most of the time it would be like, I work a Wednesday night at Worthy, and then afterwards it's like, well, I don't want to go home. I'm going to go to Skunk Hollow. So I go to Skunk and play the open mic, and then you talk with musicians and you meet people, and then you talk about like, oh, do you play anywhere? Where do you play? Who do I contact? That's generally how it's happened for me. I mean, there's definitely a cross between people who are in the restaurant industry and just artsy people in general. Because they're just not. They're not the 9 to 5 kind of office job person. Generally.
Do you think there's a lot of similarities though, as far as working for the public? Because it is like it's a service-based industry.
Yes, yeah. And so a lot of that is translated over to reading a group of people how you change what you're doing based on like if a bunch of people walk in the door. It's like, all right, get ready. Let's get ready to serve them.
Yeah.
And the same thing is just. Entertainment is just a different form of hospitality. If you think about it, well, maybe not. Depends on. You can make a lot of arguments there, but in my opinion, it's like I'm there to provide a service for somebody, and so I treat it a lot of the same way. It's just like approach it as professionally as possible and adapt to the situation. It's definitely a lot of that is translated like, oh, something chaotic might happen. Just deal with it in that moment and know that it's not going to last forever. Right.
The adaptability part is so important because I was actually thinking about this at Killarney's of all places. Over the years, I've been doing this already 15, 20 years myself professionally in one form or another, part-time or full-time, band or solo acoustic. And if you're doing this as like a full hustle, there's all the other things about the adapting to the audience that are like important. Stage presence, stage volume, and, equipment working, obviously, interacting with the audience members. Sometimes, like if you're in the middle of a jam, you could put it on a loop. You can announce, hey, thank you guys all for coming out. Take care of your bartenders and servers. Thanks for taking care of us. Check out some cards and then get right back into playing. There's so many crowd engaging elements, I think, that really add to why we get paid to do this and why we make a living doing this.
Yeah, being personable does not hurt, for sure.
Yeah.
So, just being able to interact with any kind of stranger and just, it's a short interaction, but it might make or break their experience. When somebody comes in and you're able to, in the middle of a song, be like, hey guys, welcome, thanks for being here. They're like, oh, that guy just addressed us. Like, that's, interesting, doesn't always happen. So I think it adds to the experience anyways.
When you're going to and from a gig, are you a fan of listening to comedian podcasts, music albums, sports talk radio, the news? Because those drives, especially if you're going at it solo and don't have someone in the car to keep you company from time to time, the drive's got to be pretty long. So there's got to be a whole lot of thinking, a whole lot of listening to other stuff. I've heard some people don't even listen to anything at all when they're on the road, like when
Depends
they go
on how
from
long
a
the
gig.
trip is. If it's a full hour, I'm going to listen to something.
Yeah.
But generally, it's not music because I'm kind of saving that energy for the show itself. And
I like that.
It's more like, I'm just listening to keep my mind occupied. And then sometimes silence is fine too.
I like that. Yeah.
But yeah, generally I'm not like, if I'm listening to music, I'm singing along. And now like the energy that I could be putting towards the show, I'm now using alone in the car in front of nobody. So it's cool. I'm getting warmed up. Great. But save it for the show generally.
Besides the band show with the Loons up at Champlain Valley, do you guys have any other shows coming up? Like, what are some big shows, solo or with a band, coming up that you want to let everybody know about?
Well, that's our biggest one so far. And I say so far because I know it feels like we're kind of on a steady incline.
Yeah.
But we're going to be playing the Harvest Fair, the Killington Harvest Fair in October.
Oh, nice.
Which is just another.
Is that the same as the Brew Fest, or is that a completely different?
I'm honestly not sure where exactly.
Because they always do the Beer Fest at a snow shed. I'm wondering if that's like the same thing.
Could be. But speaking of it, we did we opened up for the Sideways on the Cooler in the Mountain series. So that was another.
How's that series, by the way? It looks so cool.
It's cool. They've changed the venue to up at K1, and I thought they had it a little better down at Snowshed. Just the general setup, but it's like it's the same as like the free concert series at Jackson Gore. It's just cool, free music. It's Friday or Saturday, whatever. You don't have to pay a ticket. You go and enjoy some good tunes.
Absolutely, it's really Do you ski and snowboard too, or speaking of ticket?
Yeah, I ski.
Nice.
Not as much as I want to.
How long you been skiing?
Since I was like 3. Whenever we went on like a family vacation, usually was to Sunday River.
Oh, nice.
In was that Biddeford, Maine or something?
Yeah, in Maine. Yeah. So Alex is a big fan of that mountain. I've still never been. Great times.
I haven't been since I was 3.
Yeah.
But that's where like I learned as a little tater tot.
Did you ever, speaking of at that age, did you hit the Connecticut mountains at any point when you lived in CT?
Yeah, Ski Sundown was always like ski club in high school.
Yeah,
we went to Ski Sundown.
Yeah. I had so I've always skied Okemo my whole life. But when I was of driving age and just getting out of college, I just started coming up here so much more than Connecticut mountains. I'm like, Killington and Okemo and Stratton are just so much more fun. Obviously,
just bigger.
The friends had lodging, family had lodging, and everything. But it's like, okay, for another hour and a half, 2 hours, let me just go a little bit further north.
Yeah. I haven't been to like Stowe or Jay Peak or anything like that. I don't know if you.
Neither have I. I've been to the Stowe Village. The Stowe Village is really cool. It's beautiful up there. Probably good music opportunities up there too.
The band's playing a farmer's market again, like in September. I think it's September, October. I'm not sure which one.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, so far it's farmers markets gigs, but we got to start somewhere.
That's absolutely. Hey guys, once again, I just want to give a shout out to Rhys Chalmers here, a former Rhode Island and Connecticut resident. He's been in Vermont for many years now. Really good friend of mine that I've gotten to know over the years from open mics and jamming and everything. He's a part of episode number 8 here at Okemo Valley TV. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to Okemo Valley TV's YouTube channel. Check them out on okemovalley.tv and also download their mobile app on your smartphone or your smart TV. Those things are cool, smart TVs, So.
They're not so smart though, in my opinion.
When you speak into the remote, right? Like when you
kind of convenient.
Hey,
sure.
Make me some pancakes. Sorry, I didn't understand that. Yeah.
Cooking shows.
So we actually have our friends here that are lonely. Do you want to play one of your originals for the masses?
I'd be happily.
Let's do it. Do you want to stand or do you want to?
We'll sit. We got the chairs for it.
There we go. Yeah. By the way, once again, special shout out to our solo guy in house today, Peter. Thank you for producing. You the man. Doing a phenomenal job with all the episodes so far. Like I said, Folks, there's been 4 so far. You could subscribe again to Okemo Valley TV's YouTube channel. And it's also, I forgot to mention as well, too, they do air on live TV on Sunday nights, Comcast Channel 1076 and VTEL Channel 166. What's the name of this song, brother?
This song is called Good Distraction.
Give a little description again.
Sure. I mean, it's just a lot of it's when life gets overwhelming. You got too much on your plate, a bunch of things to do.
We all can relate to that.
Yes, no matter.
We all, yeah.
Whatever it is could be into. For me, it's a lady, but they walk by and
could be
just
podcasting.
Like, whatever it is. You get overwhelmed and then you see whatever it is and you're like, what was I just thinking about? It was a good distraction.
From
the troubles of life. So
that's awesome.
There you go.
I've been doing this with the musicians also as well too. So like cheersing with a beverage. Let's cheers the sunglasses. Yeah, we are. We are. And once again, I have to give a special shout out to the Buddha. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And Jason Veritek bobblehead and dog banana. Dog banana.
It's cute,
pretty
man.
Cool, right? Yeah. Awesome. Take it away, my good
sir.
man.
Listen here, baby, I got too much on my mind today. I'm feeling overwhelmed by the things I've got to do. I better write them down so I don't get too confused. Where did I leave that piece of paper? I was saving that list for later. Too many phone calls to make, too many emails to write. Still got chances to take and all these battles left to fight. Worries on my left and I got struggles on my right. And just when I think that I lost my mind, that's when you walk on by and I'm like, damn, you're such a good distraction. Damn, honey, you're such a fine distraction. Damn, you're such a good distraction. Won't you come over here and give me just a little bit of loving action? Sammy Blanchett, everybody, on the guitar.
Oh, thank you.
Can't lose my focus this early. Oh, you know this list ain't just gonna do itself. You know with you around, you really ain't no help. 'Cause you might be a good distraction, baby, but I've got to fight off the lazy. Yeah, my ADD be always on. Another scatterbrain monkey trying to write a song. No, it just ain't fair, girl, the way that you wear your hair. And you got me at an all-time low. When you walk around with no clothes, I'm like, damn, you're such a good distraction. Damn, honey, you're such a fine distraction. Damn, you're such a good distraction. Oh, come over here and give me just a little bit of loving action. Ooh, yeah, loving action.
was it I was thinking about? Woo. Man, what was it I was thinking about? What was it I was thinking about? Oh man, what was it I was just thinking about? I guess it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter anymore. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter anymore. No, it doesn't even matter. Oh yeah. It doesn't even matter anymore. Doesn't really matter. Yeah. All right. I tell you, baby, woo, you're such a good distraction. Yeah. Damn, money is such a fine distraction. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're such a good distraction. Oh, come over here and give me just a little bit of loving action. Ooh, baby, little loving action. Ooh. Oh, what was it I was thinking about? Doesn't really matter anymore. Yeah.
Woo!
Beautiful.
That was awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice.
Hey, nice dreams.
Awesome. So, like you mentioned to everybody, good distraction, by the way. Fine distraction.
Coming off the first album, whenever that comes out.
Off the first album, yes. Website is in the work. You're super active with Facebook and Instagram of letting everybody know. And dude, this was a lot of fun today,
Yes.
man. I can't see it now. Now let's see you again. Hey, there we are.
Sammy, thank you for having me.
Dude, this was a
Appreciate
blast,
it.
man.
Yeah.
And obviously, episode number 2, you will be back, hopefully.
For sure.
By
By that day, I'll refine some more things.
not
It'll just
episode
be
number
even
2,
more.
segue
The
number
second
2.
one I'm on here. I got
That's
you.
yeah. Last question I have for you. What's your favorite food to cook? Is.
Easy. I mean, like, I still cook at home, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, you got to feed yourself.
Oh yeah, saves money a little bit too. Ish, a
Any
little bit.
cooking meat to temp, mid rare, any cut, I don't care. But you know, a good ribeye, just baste it in a pan with some herbs.
Oh yeah. I think Rhys is going to open up a food truck for everybody soon because I think Vermont could use more of that also too.
You sure?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
Now we'll see how the music career goes first. I'll fall back
yeah.
if it all goes down the
May need
drain.
to be another. Right. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, dude, this was an absolute blast. And guys, thank you again for watching. Once again, this has been an absolute pleasure. Episode number 8 of the Tasty Twist with Sammy B with your host, Sammy Blanchett. A shout out to Rhys Chalmers, Okemo Valley TV, our producers, Peter, Patrick, and Rebecca. Once again, check them out, okemovalley.tv. Subscribe to their YouTube channel, Okemo Valley TV, and download their app on your mobile device or your smart TV and watch for live streaming and live television services on Comcast, Channel 1076, and VTEL, Channel 166. I'm Sammy Blanchett, aka Sammy B. This has been another fun edition. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday, August 19th, 2024. Peace and love. Catch you next time.
Woo!
All right. Don't you worry now, my